Next week, West Wing Week is taking you across the Pacific on a special dispatch assignment. Join us as we travel with Vice President Joe Biden to China, Mongolia, and Japan on his journey to meet with the leaders and people of this bustling region. From traditional tea ceremonies in Chengdu, China, to the outskirts of Ulaanbaatar for a Nadam festival, experience the vibrant culture of Asia and see how the continent welcomed the Vice President and embraced the American delegation. We go behind the scenes with the Vice President as he strengthens ties and opens new channels to communication. So be sure to tune in next week for West Wing Week, Dispatches Asia.
Welcome to the West Wing Week, your guide to everything that's happening at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. This week, Mailbag Day, Summer Edition 2011. But before we get to your letters and emails, a couple of scenes from this week. On Monday, President Obama addressed the nation on the evolving situation in Libya. The president spoke about the progress the United States and our allies have made over the last 6 months to protect the people of Libya from Muammar Gaddafi's brutality and support them as they seek the opportunity to determine their own destiny.
Finally, the Libyan people. Your courage and character have been unbreakable in the face of a tyrant. An ocean divides us, but we are joined in the basic human longing for freedom, for justice, and for dignity. Now, the Libya that you deserve is within your reach. Going forward, we will stay in close coordination with the TNC to support that outcome. And though there will be huge challenges ahead, the extraordinary events in Libya remind us that fear can give way to hope, and that the power of people striving for freedom can bring about a brighter day.
On Tuesday, the White House complex experienced an earthquake. With the epicenter only 80 miles south of Washington, D.C., Mother Nature forced the evacuation of the White House and other buildings in the area. After the buildings were checked for safety, the White House staff went back into work. This week, on the other side of the globe, Vice President Joe Biden continued his visit to Asia, where he met with international leaders, represented the United States at a slew of cultural events, and continued to promote our shared economic interests and important diplomatic ties with these Asian nations. Also this week, the president was in continuous contact with FEMA Administrator Craig Fugate, monitoring Hurricane Irene. Head over to ready.gov to find out the latest updates and info on how you can be sure that you and your family are prepared. Our first correspondence comes from Annapolis, Maryland. The emailer asks, is there a painting of the famous midnight crossing of the Delaware River by George Washington at the White House? I think I remember reading that somewhere, but would appreciate a confirmation. To answer this question, we went to the authority on all things art and history related at the White House, Bill Allman, the White House curator.
Yes, we do have a painting of the famous image called Washington Crossing the Delaware that hangs here in the reception room of the West Wing of the White House. This, in fact, is a smaller example of the enormous, almost life-size painting that hangs currently in the Metropolitan Museum in New York. It shows George Washington in a boat crossing the Delaware River. Now, some of the historical inaccuracies of the painting, the boat's probably not as deep as the ones that were used to carry troops across the river. Other inconsistencies in the painting, there's more daylight. It looks like dawn, but in fact it was the middle of the night. It was pouring rain, which doesn't show in the picture. It was meant to be an evocative historical image of an important American moment, and it certainly has become that over time via this painting, which has hung in the White House almost continuously since 1969. It does not belong to the White House collection. It is only on loan to us from two different owners, from 1969 to 79, and then again from its current owners since 1979. And so it's a much admired and much looked for art object here in the West Wing of the White House.
Our next question comes from a letter written by Carol Parker from Portland, Oregon. Carol writes, what will the president do to stop the outsourcing of American jobs to foreign countries? To answer Carol's question, we took a stroll and posed this question to Jason Furman, the Deputy Director of the National Economic Council.
Well, the American economy has been creating jobs for the last year and a half. But the president thinks there's a lot more that we need to be doing to speed the pace of job creation here in America and to continue working tirelessly till every American who wants a job has one. We have a lot of ideas that have been before Congress for the last several months that we're waiting for action on. Things like investments in infrastructure, patent reform, trade agreements, all of which have bipartisan support in Congress. There's no reason they can't finish them up and send them to us. The President thinks even more than that needs to be done, and he's going to be giving a major speech when he returns and Congress returns in September about what we need to do to really accelerate the creation of jobs in America.
Our final question comes from Missouri, and an emailer writes, does the White House honor U.S. citizens who do extraordinary acts in their own local communities? Let's walk across the hall from Jason and pose that question to the Director of the Office of Public Engagement, John Carson, and see what he has to say. John?
Each year at the State of the Union, in the First Lady's box, there's a number of citizens that the President and First Lady have chosen to honor. There's also a number of programs here at the White House that honor the service and heroism of Americans all across the country. The first is the Citizens Medal. President Obama was the first president to take this program online, and you can find at whitehouse.gov/Citizens Medal an opportunity to nominate each year someone for the Citizens Medal. Also, each week here at the White House, we honor our Champions of Change. The Champions of Change program brings together Americans who are making change happen in their community around a common theme. Each week, we have an event here at the White House, and online at whitehouse.gov/champions honor these Americans who are making change happen.
Thank you for joining us for Mailbag Summer Edition 2011. To find out more information on any of these topics or to see complete videos of these events, go to whitehouse.gov. And thanks again for checking out your West Wing Week.